Welcome to the Great Basin Smoke Dispersion Briefing for Wednesday, January 10th. This is Gina McGuire. Over the last 30 days, we have seen well below normal precipitation across the Great Basin. However, the storm that has been moving through the region over the last couple of days has finally brought some precipitation to southern areas of the Great Basin that have been dry for over 3 months. Again, this is still well below normal, but at least a little bit of precipitation has moved into the south. However, the majority of that precipitation has been focused over the northern part of the basin. Looking at the new snowfall over the last 72 hours, the image on the left shows that we have seen some new high elevation snowfalls near and over a foot of snow in the Sierra and also into the higher elevations of Nevada and especially up into Idaho, Wyoming, and down through the central Utah mountains. Looking at the snow depth, currently our highest snow depth is still over the central Idaho mountains into Wyoming and northern Utah, where the storm track has been focusing most of the precipitation, but obviously we still do have snow depth into the Sierra as well. Looking at the satellite image from this morning, this area of low pressure is now located over southern Nevada into the Arizona Strip and will continue moving eastward. Therefore, we'll still see showery conditions and cloudy conditions over much of the Great Basin at times today, but precipitation should be fairly light over the western half of the area, but still a little heavier, especially in the higher elevations of Utah and up into Wyoming, where we'll likely see up to 6 to 12 inches of new snowfall. Looking at the forecast for later this afternoon, again you can see where most of that moisture is focused over the eastern half of the Great Basin, but we'll still see clouds and occasional showers over western areas today as well. But again, the higher snow totals will be over the higher terrain of Utah into Wyoming. Dispersion will remain quite good as we still have some breezy winds as this area of low pressure moves through the area. So again, good dispersion, a little bit worse dispersion as you move towards the Sierra. Looking at the transport winds, the image on the left today, you can still see breezy west to northwest winds really across many areas of the Great Basin, with the exception of far northern Nevada and western Idaho, and also mixing heights will remain more in the moderate range across the Great Basin today. As we move into Thursday, that area of low pressure now tracks well to the east, but we still have a system up north which will keep showery conditions across Idaho and Wyoming and far northern Utah as we move through Thursday as well. However, winds will be decreasing. We'll have generally poor dispersion over northern areas and really over much of the Great Basin. The only exceptions might be over parts of Utah still on Thursday and into parts of the Sierra. On Thursday, again, you can still see the breezy winds mainly targeted over the northern half of the area with much lighter winds over southern Nevada, southern Utah, and the Arizona Strip. We will see relatively low mixing heights over the southern half of the basin and a little bit higher as you go north towards that main system on Thursday across Idaho and Wyoming. By Friday, we see a ridge of high pressure moving into the west, so we still may have some showery conditions over parts of Wyoming and eastern Idaho, but for the most part, drier air and warmer conditions will be spreading across the Great Basin. Temperatures will increase again to 5 to 10 degrees above normal across the area, with again dry conditions across many areas by Friday. However, as this ridge moves in and winds decrease, we'll also see poor dispersion across most of the area, especially over the western two-thirds of the basin on Friday. We'll maybe have a little bit higher dispersion over parts of eastern Utah and southern Idaho as that system really starts to move off to the east. Again, this is where the main stronger winds will be located on Friday, those areas of Idaho, Wyoming, and northern Utah, closer to that system that is exiting, and much lighter wind flow across the rest of the basin. Mixing heights also remain quite low over western areas and a little bit higher as you go further east. Looking at the forecast clearing index for Utah over the next few days, again today as those winds will be gusty as that system moves through with showers as well, we'll see high clearing indices across most areas, but as that system exits and winds start to decrease, with decreasing moisture we'll also see those clearing indices really start to drop towards Thursday and Friday. Looking at the overall forecast amount of precipitation, you can see many areas will at least be getting some light amounts of additional precipitation with the exception of southern Nevada, which that precipitation has already moved through. But our highest amounts will be in the higher terrain of central Idaho, Wyoming, and down into the Utah mountains. As we go through the weekend, that ridge really starts to move across the Great Basin. Therefore, we'll see lighter winds, warmer temperatures, and drier conditions both Saturday and Sunday, along with poor dispersion in most areas. Again, that will continue through Sunday. As we get into Monday, we see another stronger system approaching the northwest coast. This will push at least clouds over western and northern areas of the Great Basin on Monday, with most of the precipitation holding off until later on Monday or even on Tuesday, and mainly in northern areas. So again, still warmer and drier conditions generally on Monday with poor dispersion. As we move into Tuesday, that system starts to move east across the area. This first initial push of the system will likely still be on the warmer side with higher snow levels, especially over much of Nevada into Utah and cooler up north. However, precipitation will be significantly increasing, and we may even get a colder system approach later in the week, which will drop snow levels potentially to valley floors in many areas that have seen warm conditions across Nevada and Utah. Dispersion will be increasing over northwest Nevada as that system moves in, but otherwise poor across the region. Looking at the forecast amount of precipitation expected from Saturday morning through Monday morning, again, weekend will be dry, so no precipitation is expected in most areas, but that next system will approach by Tuesday. Looking at the 8 to 14-day outlook, which takes us into the third week of January, still above normal temperatures over the eastern half of the area, and again, temperatures will be dropping as those systems start to look like they will be cooling as we move towards later next week and towards that third week of January, but precipitation really largely above normal, especially over the northern half of the region. That concludes our briefing for today. Check back on Friday for the latest updates.